Greetings, fellow scruffy nerf herders. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, 1977 to be exact, a film was released that not only changed everything, but led to the creation of a franchise that has amassed an empire of fans. It's a franchise so big and ever-growing, we have to break it down into trilogies, along with many adventures and explorations on the side.
It's still thriving and growing stronger with the Force to this day. So building to the next chapter of Star Wars, we're looking to where it all started, with the original trilogy.
So, turn off your targeting computers and don't get cocky as we celebrate Star Wars. Oh yeah, BlueDragonFive, are you on the cool side of the pillow?
How you doing, you old pirate?
Oh my god. Lando
it's
is
good
so
to
awesome.
see ya! Lando Calrissian, what a treasure.
Absolutely. Okay, so, oh my god, it's like fucking less than 48 hours until we're sitting in the theater watching Force Awakens. How do you feel about that, BlueDragonFive?
I'm excited.
Is the energy just coursing through you? Is the Force just pumping through your veins?
Oh yeah.
Your midichlorian count off the chart?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
Oh dear, oh dear. All right, so we are going through, and for each of these 3 nights, these 72 hours before The Force Awakens, we're doing retrospectives on Star Wars, because honestly, there's not going to be a better time to do them and to pump them out. So, BlueDragonFive, with that in mind, let's get things started with The Crawl.
Okay, so the crawl for this film for The Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5. Bum bum bum. It's been 3 years since A New Hope. Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, and the droids have joined the rebels on Hoth, the snow planet. Luke is attacked by a Wampa. We start off with Luke being attacked by a Wampa, the snow beast. Han puts off paying off his debts to a Jabba the Hutt so he can save Luke from freezing to death in a really gruesome way. Ugh. Vader and the Empire.
You know they make sleeping bags out of that, right?
I know. But never that fresh, though.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Anyway, so Vader and the Empire, with AT-ATs, attack Hoth. Our core group thankfully escaped, nick of time. Luke heads to Dagobah per Ben Kenobi's instructions to train under the tutelage of Yoda, Master Yoda. After being pursued into an asteroid field with damage to the hyperdrive, our heroes head to Cloud City, but are followed by the coolest of Vader's bounty hunter forces, Boba Fett.
Who made his grand appearance in the Star Wars Christmas special.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget.
Luke learns a little bit about the Force. Lando, to protect his people, hands Han over to the Empire. Luke has a vision and leaves to save his friends, despite Yoda's warnings that he's not ready yet. Han's the way I wrote this, and I just realized Han's frozen.
He's frozen today.
I'm thinking like Frozen Hans, get it?
Oh, yeah. I'm
No,
so sick of Frozen, I don't even want to think about that movie.
But Han's frozen in carbonite and primed for delivery to Jabba the Hutt. Luke faces off against Vader. Lando helps the others escape. Luke has his hand cut off and finds out Vader, is his father. They escape with his. Luke escapes with his friends, wondering what the heck are we gonna do next, and that's how the movie ends.
Oh yeah, and just incredibly delayed sound effect for the Luke Darth Vader reveal. Yeah. Okay. So Blue Dragon 5, you're gonna have to like lead us through all these titles because I'm totally thrown off by by you changing them. So what's our next?
I warned you they were gonna change.
Well, I warned you that I still had finals on my mind and my brain was completely scrambled and I was exhausted.
All right. Okay, so we start off with the light speed jump. So our nostalgic reactions to these movies.
Oh wait, hold on. I think I actually have a title card for that. Oh my god, professionalism. Oh. Okay, so like I said, I actually did get the privilege of seeing these movies in the special edition format in 1997, 1998. So that is where I was first exposed to Empire. Blue Dragon 5, as a kid, Empire was my least favorite. Can you believe that?
I can't. I physically cannot believe that, Tiki.
God damn, it's because it was the one that was the darkest. You can't wrap your mind around that. As a kid, I just wanted I was like attracted to just how imaginative New Hope is, and then obviously Jedi. I think Jedi is the most appealing Star Wars movie for children. I think that at least of the original trilogy.
I don't know. I still think A New Hope is kind of, if you don't like if Empire's not your bag, The New Hope has to be it. That's what I'm thinking.
Look, I'm not comparing this in terms of like, obviously now looking at it, yeah, Empire's a fucking masterpiece. Empire is by far the best Star Wars movie. It's in a class of its own. It's almost up there with 2001 in terms of being a sci-fi masterpiece.
It's like this. Like A New Hope is like mythology at its core. It's like the redefinition of mythology, that movie. Empire is just the best Star Wars movie, and a Jedi is just a Star Wars movie that's really good.
But Jedi just has all this imaginative visuals going on. Like Jabba's palace always stuck out to me. You know what? I do think this movie has the slowest opening out of any of the Star Wars movies, the originals. But do you agree to that?
I'm sorry.
It takes a while to get going.
So you're saying Empire is a slow opening?
I'm not saying it's slow. I'm just saying compared to the other two in the trilogy, I think the other two openings, like, I think up until we reach the moment of the Battle of Hoth,
I think
like
Jedi
up until those AT-ATs actually come onto the scene, I think it's a little slow. I'm not saying it's bad. It's all really good character development stuff.
I don't know. Jedi might have more of that than Empire, with kind of like the opening takes a while to get to. Like until Luke shows up, then you're kind of.
I'm such a big fan of fucking Jabba the Hutt, though. I love me some Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba's cool. I don't know. I think Empire just has the best thing I can say about Empire. My nostalgic connection to is I absolutely love the dialogue in Empire.
Dialogue's really good for sure.
The dialogue is the best out of any Star Wars movie in Empire. It's just it's Irving Kershner. He loves character dynamics, and that was like the strongest thing in this movie. It's like such a great it's the Superman 2 effect of like you know who these characters are, now you get a chance to see them flourish.
Totally. So I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to rationalize in my head, rationalize why. It's not that I didn't like it. I really liked this movie. I really liked all three of the Star Wars movies. I just think this movie is particularly it's more adult than the other two. It's darker than the other two. And now, as an adult, looking back on it, it's obviously the best one. But this was the one by far out of. I would always watch A New Hope. I would always watch Jedi. I would turn this one on every once in a while. I don't know. So that's really my connection to it, is not having that much of a connection to it until I got older. And then when I got older, that's when I really attached to it, in high school and stuff, when the DVDs came out and the Empire of Dreams documentary and everything. Right. That when I really started getting into filmmaking and stuff like Kubrick, 2001, everything like that, the practical side of it, that's when this movie really shined. So, like I said, that's really the best I can say in terms of my nostalgic connection. Is it took me a while to really, really get into it, because I just think it's more cerebral than the other two. And I think from that perspective, it's harder for at least me as a little kid to get into, but it's certainly the most rewarding.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, well, with Empire, I have Yeah, I have connections. I mentioned in the previous one, my Star Wars connections have there's kind of those three pillars of Star Wars in my life. Aside from just kind of knowing how it's permeated the culture a little bit beforehand, like you've seen R2-D2 and C-3PO and Darth Vader look like in popular culture, so you get a
Of
gist
course.
of Star Wars beforehand. So that was like kind of knowing it beforehand. It's like I can't really get into that until of course later with those three pillars. I experienced it in three very distinctive, effective ways. Now, the other way, this is important for this one. The other way, of course, that really kind of made me really want to explore Empire and really kind of maybe find a vast appreciation for Empire would be Toy Story 2. I'm serious. Toy Story 2, out of the Toy Story franchise, has probably the most Star Wars references.
Oh, without a doubt, without a
And with
doubt.
that, I mean, they capture essentially all the elements I love about Empire in it. They captured it so well that the atmosphere and the lighting and just kind of the "I am your father" moment, it's glorious.
I love how the scope of the Empire is just so notched up in this one compared to the first one.
I mean, you gotta remember, Empire and Superman 2 are kind of the definitive movie sequels. They really are, in many ways.
Godfather, come on now.
I'm sorry, yes, and Godfather. I'm just saying, like, on my mind.
And Back to the Future. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm saying chronologically, though, I'm saying this predate. I think those two predated the rest of them, though.
Yeah, you're right. I'd have to look up to see when Back to the Future, when Godfather Part 2
That's the
was.
thing. I can't remember when Godfather was, but I know that Superman, and that's the thing. When they came out, Superman and Empire were kind of close together.
Because up until then, when you did a sequel in Hollywood, I mean, it was, for the most part, it was relatively cheap. I mean, there were sequels that were okay. Like, I think the direct 1933 sequel to King Kong, Son of Kong, is, like, okay. It's not an offensive movie by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly doesn't live up to the original.
That's the thing. I mean, the Empire kind of was one of the big ones to set the bar for the blockbuster sequel. Which again, I think Toy Story 2 is the last comparison on the Toy Story. It feels big and more kind of emotional, and you get to know these characters and see them in these different environments. Think about it, like there are many similarities to like what a sequel does in that regard. Like it takes you to new places, literally and metaphorically, with these characters, and I think this movie does that to a T. Again, the only thing I really say with my experience is that the two big elements of the Star Wars period with this movie is it's the dialogue and atmosphere at its finest in terms of communicating storytelling.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, just from a storytelling perspective, I think this is the most kind of this is probably the most cerebral Star Wars film.
And you know what? It's cerebral, but at the same time, it's very straightforward in terms of like,
exactly.
Luke's doing his training, and the Han and Leia and C-3PO and Chewie stuff, for the most part, is essentially a long Mad Max Fury Road style chase scene, which is awesome.
Again, this is the original one to probably do that.
Exactly.
And I mean, last thing to say on really, I guess, before we change segments would be it's cerebral without being overly complicated. As you said, it's putting the ideas out there and just kind of.
I would actually say it's probably the simplest out of the three.
Well, yeah, in some respects, yes, but it's like this thing where they're doing this whole movie is about pushing ideas. That's what it's about. It's about the transition of, it's like bringing up these ideas and letting us stew on it, which is something The Dark Knight does, for example. It's really lets us stew on these big ideas, and that's really kind of our crux of that film, and it's really brilliant at doing is bring up these ideas for us to chew on and subtly nudging us towards story directions without having it just kind of, like overly complicated. Like like the Luke, the Han and Leia relationship. It's like not uber lovey-dovey, but it's really powerful and it's just kind of behind the scenes, and it's impactful.
Exactly.
I'm saying there's elements like that.
I think a good example of that would probably be how the Force kind of gets grayed in this movie, and we kind of get more introduced to the concept of the light side and the dark side.
That's what I'm saying. That idea is brought up, and of course, there's a huge thing in the next movie, but still, just the idea is brought up, which gives that ending scene all the more impact because this notion is brought up and kind of it's like it's leading us down the trails we're supposed to be led to, so we can make our own decisions, which I think is a brilliant move for this movie. So, anyway, it's a big idea movie, which is great.
Totally.
Okay, so let's get to the Road to Cloud City, the making of stuff, which I'll breeze through.
Okay.
So Lucas very. You know what's interesting is looking at this in terms of the making of. The first movie is about Lucas literally in director's chair, just kind of literally breaking his back over all the production stuff. Literally, the movie broke the man. Essentially, that's what happened. And in here, it's trying to break him in a different way. It's really fascinating when you look at the making of here and the trilogy in itself of making the original trilogy with Lucas. Is that Lucas here? He's in a financial imperial battle in this one. Because he's going up against the studio systems, and he's going up against like financial stuff primarily. It's all about him. His smart move in the first movie, as we mentioned, was he took on the merchandising, the marketing, which is how he created his own empire.
Oh yeah.
And with this movie, he did kind of in show business the old adage is like never put your own money into the show. You get investors, but Lucas invested all his own money there, so he would retain all the ownership. Lucasfilm would retain ownership, and basically they do what the Pixar do with Disney, where they would distribute through Disney.
Sure.
That was the notion, and that's what Lucas did here. But of course, cost a pretty penny, and at the time, bear in mind, this is millions of dollars. That was still really early on. That was still kind of money went a lot more than it does today.
I want $1 million.
Okay, so Lucas, he basically kind of crafts the outline, writes the big kind of center points of the script, and of course, the wonderful, the talented, and coming back to the Han Solo spinoff, Lawrence Kasdan wrote this movie.
The Han Solo spinoff, that's the one that Lord and Miller are directing, right?
Yes.
Oh man, I hope they get Darth Maul involved in that one. But anyways.
The point is, Kasdan, as you know, Kasdan, he wrote this one. He wrote Jedi, and Kasdan, importantly, he could have chosen. Basically, Han Solo one sounds like it's gonna be his last involvement in Star Wars. He could have picked any project, but he picked the Han Solo thing, which gets us very excited for that. But less on that. The point is, Kasdan wrote this, and he really kind of understands the Star Wars universe. This guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, because of the stress of shooting the first film and Lucas's new responsibilities as kind of overseer, and again all these financial battles and just kind of management of the finances, basically, Lucas. The best comparison for what Lucas went through financially in this movie is kind of what Disney went through with Snow White.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Basically that it's kind of like the Disney's folly. This is Lucas's folly. Like you're banking everything on a sequel here, fella.
And like we said, this is before sequels were kind of like a Hollywood dumping ground before this point.
Exactly. So and again, really the only big sequel, if I'm time-wise, I think they both came out in the 80s. I don't know which one preceded which, but again, it was this and Superman 2 were the big sequels of the time. Again, Godfather notwithstanding right now.
Right. I mean, I'm sure you could point to other examples, but like I said, the King Kong, Son of Kong, it's a decent movie. I think Son of Kong's actually a little underrated, and I'm sure there's others. Actually, you know what? I think probably off the top of my head, probably the best example of a sequel that might be better than the original is Bride of Frankenstein. Just off the top of my head. That's a good classic example, but it's few and far between.
Fair. But I mean, more so, less to just explore the universe, more to just kind of actually tell a grand story, which is what Lucas was trying to do here.
Totally.
Same thing with Superman. Superman was like finishing out a great story. So again, it was sequels with purpose, let alone sequels who just wanted to kind of cash in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's see. So because of this, because of the new responsibilities, Lucas wouldn't be able. Lucas himself would be a fool to take on directing responsibilities yet again with all the additional stuff on his plate and the stress, the near mental breakdown he suffered in the first one. He asked Irving Kershner to direct. Irving Kershner, a really good director. Unfortunately, no longer with us, and I'll miss this guy. I really will.
Kershner, now wasn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've seen that documentary. Wasn't he like a mentor to Lucas in his film school days?
I want to say so. They knew each other in film school. I don't know what the relationship was. I think there was a mentor thing in there. I think
that's really badass, man. How cool would it be to have your mentor direct a movie that you created? Oh God,
I can't imagine a better feeling, to be perfectly honest with you. I can't imagine just sitting down with someone you respect and saying, "Hey, listen, here's my gift to you as a meaning of thanks. I want you to take on my baby."
God. So that right there kind of just, I think that whole dynamic to this really creates this whole level of class to this project.
And speaking of the sequel here, it's a big gamble. So if what he really kind of told Kershner here was like, this is a big gamble. Then if this one fails, there's no three. I mean, no third movie plus. So we can't explore this universe again if this one bombs. So there is a lot of heft on the success of this movie. Mm-hmm. And of course, look at the Pixar films, second product syndrome. Of course, if you don't do well with this next one, then You know, it could be Kaputski for you. Like the question of like, would you just get lucky with that first one?
Right, right.
And again, as I mentioned, so Lucas's big thing was like, you know, we want Fox to distribute so they don't own it, so they won't make changes they want make changes for it. So basically, be within Lucas's control, still be his baby. So this was Kirshner's first blockbuster, and he's a character focused director, which is of course you see amply in this film.
Oh yeah.
Like he's a character guy, and this is his first kind of big blockbuster. Again, the risk is just piling on and piling on. What Kirshner infused in this movie, he infused the humor elements, he infused the romance, the drama. That's all his character stuff that he brings to his stuff.
I mean, I definitely think the humor was there in A New Hope, but I'll agree with you on the romance and the drama for sure.
No, yeah, humor's there, but this is like more kind of guy who specialized in that sort of stuff, bringing that sensibility into there.
You know, the one black mark I'll give against the humor in this movie is I think this is probably the most annoying that C-3PO ever gets.
I don't know. I don't view him that much annoying.
I think specifically when he's on the Millennium Falcon during the chase and the whole like, sir, the odds of surviving the asteroids. I don't know. Like we'll get to him when we talk about his character. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to him. Anyway, so of course, shooting-wise, the big challenge initially was the Norway proved. It's like the weird Bizarro universe here. It's like Norway is the complete opposite of Tunisia. Instead of blistering heat and like you worries about the C-3PO suit melting, it's they're in Norway for Hoth, and it's like it's snowing. And here's the thing: just compile upon just add to their luck. It's during like the biggest snowstorm Norway's ever faced, or something like that. It's like during like this huge snowstorm happens the night of. So the next morning, of course, you've heard the story in Empire Dreams, which is a fantastic story. Way it's still just Irving Kershner, he couldn't get out there to direct, but Mark Hamill was out there. Poor Mark Hamill, he had to run away from the snow because they didn't even have to leave the warm hotel lobby.
Kind of mirrors Mark Hamill's experiences, Luke Skywalker's experiences at the beginning there, going out into the snowstorm.
Yep. And of course, it's always advised against don't shoot in the snow. It's always hard to maintain consistency. The point is, it's difficult to shoot in the snow.
Right.
And it's very hard to do in visual effects because of the consistency thing. So we have some new things that are introduced into this movie. We had stop motion. We have more sets, puppets, thanks to Stuart Freeborn and Frank Oz.
Of course.
And of course, intricate swamp sets to accommodate the puppets and all the other elements within that awesome swamp set of Dagobah.
It's just an absolute tour de force in terms of production. Like, A New Hope was great at world building and great at introducing this galaxy, and this movie just takes everything to the next level. Like, I think, like I said, I think one of my favorite visual elements to it is just the absolute scope and scale of the Empire. You know, the giant AT-ATs, the fleet of Star Destroyers. It's really visually striking.
Of course, there was a lot of secrecy with the third act, so they kind of kept that on the down low, Alfred Hitchcock Psycho style. Withholding the pages, having a false ending put in there, kind of cues that Nolan has also taken. Anyway, so all those measures taken, all that stuff added to the universe there. At the end result, it's a huge success, but unfortunately, like oddly reflectant of the film itself, being kind of the down section of the trilogy. Everything goes wrong. There was a cost to all the success, though. The aftermath was two unfortunate things. Is that they faced an issue involving the end credits. So the end credits, they do the thing that now is completely commonplace in Hollywood, probably because of this.
Right.
They don't have opening credits, and they end with the whole like written directed by George Lucas, like the dan 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 dan, the little wipe at the end. They have that instead of the opening credits. First time they gave it a pass. Second time it was a big not demerit, but that was I guess the Film Directors Guild specifically, if I'm remembering. It might have been the MPA. Point is a Motion Picture Association.
I think it's the Directors Guild.
I know, that Lucas resigned from the Directors Guild because there was a huge financial thing attached to it. He had to pay, which he felt really kind of screwed over because how can you blame him too? And because of that, he left the Directors Guild and maybe the Writers Guild too. At points he turned in his card, and unfortunately, the casualty in all this is the wonderful Alan Ladd Jr. He was fired because of this. He's the guy always taking the bullet for Lucas. He's the one who always, the guy basically he didn't invest in Star Wars. He invested in George Lucas, and You know, he was the casualty of this. Like, I forget if he like just like quit in solidarity, or I mean, if he was like fired because he stood up for him or what. But you know.
And what would this freaking franchise be if there was opening credits and then a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Oh, God, it would change the pace of everything.
And by the way, this reason, Lucas leaving the Directors Guild is the reason Steven Spielberg didn't direct Jedi.
Right, right.
Yeah, because he couldn't, he like, there's some contractual thing, he couldn't get him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's all we really have for the Road to Cloud stage. So I guess next would be the Best Man Welcomes. Let's welcome our new characters.
All right, all right. So I think probably the main, well, I mean, there's some big ones, but I think everyone's, where do you want to start with Yoda, or do you want to start with Lando?
Let's start with our good guys. Let's start with Yoda.
Okay, so.
Of course, Yoda played by the wonderful Frank Oz.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Whoa. I wish I had like a stand for this thing. I just have to hold it up like I'm like fucking holding up Yoda's decapitated head like a trophy.
It's like you cut off Yoda's face.
I know, right? It's like I'm gonna wear his face like serial killer style.
Well, like
okay.
Joker.
So obviously Yoda just, you know what? My connection's getting a little wonky. I'm going to turn my webcam off. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So obviously Yoda, just a big iconic fixture of the franchise. I'd say like he's probably the most universally beloved character in the whole thing.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, Yoda, yet again, this movie was full of gambles. This movie is like the Vegas of the Star Wars movie with how many gambles are in this thing. Because, again, it was a lot of it's a gutsy choice to invest in a puppet. It was for the first time. I believe this is before Dark Crystal, even.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
Yeah, the point is, like, there's a lot of importance placed. He's a master. You know, he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi for this movie, specifically, aside from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean, this obviously isn't the first time puppets have been used in movies, but this is one of the first times that we've seen a puppet have this much personality and be this much of a focal point to the film.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of importance placed. Like, George Lucas always has that fun quote of saying, well, if it didn't work, it might have turned out to be Kermit the Frog.
Right. And then, of course, he fucking reuses that thing for Jar Jar. I mean, he says something very similar.
No.
He's like, Jar Jar's the key to all this. If Jar Jar doesn't work, then we're stuck.
Well, no, it's a much different thing when he's saying with Jar Jar. Jar Jar is a much more dumb thing.
Well, you know what I'm referencing, though, with Jar Jar.
I know what you're referencing. I know that. I'm just saying the Kermit thing's a lot different.
Because he's a much funnier character than we've ever had before. He's a much lighter character. I
gotta tell you, though, if Kermit the Frog actually was in Star Wars, that wouldn't be a bad idea, though.
That's, again, I think that they should do a theatrical Muppet Star Wars. I think that would be amazing. Just do Muppet New Hope. Just fucking do that, like, you know, like Blue Harvest style.
Anyway, but I mean, yeah, Yoda was just kind of this, as it's been said, you know, Mark Hamill's interaction with Yoda was kind of the crux of those scenes, really. It's just like the legitimacy and the intelligence Yoda brings to everything. Like, he's like kind of the unsuspected master who actually, he's been around. I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's, you know, look at him, you don't expect much, but he knows he's wise beyond his years.
Oh, I absolutely love the way he's introduced as like just kind of this crazy hermit character.
Yeah. You know, he's like kind of a childlike thing. He's like, he's messing around with R2-D2.
Right. Oh, God.
Yes, I know, R2, you're in the movie. Okay, we got it.
Are you going to get a BB-8 to go along with that?
I don't know. We have to see how he is in the movie first.
Oh, I think BB-8's going to be a standout in the movie, but we'll see.
I got to tell you, I mean, I just love the, you know, me being the gadget guy I am. I just love the notion behind BB-8. It's just like a roll ball.
And the fact that it's all practical, too.
Yes, I'm so happy. Okay, but yeah, just his interactions with, you know, R2-D2 and everything, just like unsuspecting thing. And then, of course, he turns all serious. His Yoda is like, he's one of the big standouts of this movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely, he just brings a mythical quality to it. I think Yoda's presence is kind of like the defining thing that makes this a cerebral experience, as you were saying.
Absolutely. Okay, then we have Lando Calrissian, played by the ever-lovable Billy D. Williams.
God.
Oh my God, how much...
The cool side of the pillow himself.
Yes, and such an apt description of Billy D.
It totally
Seriously,
is.
Billy,
It totally works so well.
Billy D. Williams, like in the dictionary, you'll see cool. Next to the word cool is Billy D. Williams. It's like the second definition, aside from just, it's a lower temperature. And it's like second definition of the colloquial, like the lexical definition maybe is like Billy D. Williams.
So I love this character. I'm always drawn to these roguish type characters where they have both kind of like heroic and evil qualities to them.
It's like they're asking themselves in the second movie, well, you know what, how can we have, Han's kind of grown as a character. How can we do Han Solo again, but make him even cooler? Billy D. Williams. Okay. And it worked.
Oh, totally.
That's the thing. It worked so well. Like, you have a character that's a lot like Han Solo. He knows Han Solo. He's like, oh, you old pirate. This grand smile, and you can't really get a good read on the guy. Like, the guy's an excellent poker player, you're imagining, except for the fact that one time he lost in the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
But, he just has this charm about him and this likability. I mean, you can't hate this guy, even though he's kind of betraying you. You still have some love for him. And again, Billy D. Williams, he just plays up the lovability of this guy.
And again, it kind of adds to the whole morally ambiguous tone that this whole movie presents and lays out for us.
I haven't reading as much as I would like to of all the Star Wars comics. I have read a little bit of the Lando Calrissian comic, and they play him really nicely too. Like he's I guess like it's after he slept with a woman. I think it's
oh no.
He's basically, he knows that she's playing him. Like she knows he's trying to steal something. He basically kind of does like a Sherlock Holmesian deduction of what she's doing there and says, well, I know you're good. I know. Basically, he knows that she's a good person beneath it all. It's Lando's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait to see him in episode 8, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Seriously, folks, check out those Star Wars comics too. They're really good. But the other thing, though, Billy D. Williams, he's such a cool guy. I mean, he reprises his role anytime they ask.
I know, right?
Robot Chicken, a Lego movie. I mean, he's always willing to reprise the role. And the Lego Star Wars specials, which I love those. I love those Legos. I love those more than the games. I haven't really played the games. I'm just saying the games didn't really speak, right? It's just them as the characters.
I know in the beginning when those games first started getting rolled out, they didn't speak, but they probably have voice acting by this point.
That's the thing. I mean, the way they're approaching this little specials on Disney XD, those are fantastic. Those are like, it's the most fan servicey in a good way. It's give me all the class and all the referential stuff you want, Star Wars, but like little fun stories. Okay, anyway, so Lando Calrissian he's beyond awesome. Also, he has a cool robot sidekick, Lobot.
Right.
Oh, Lobot, by the way, not robotic, but lobotomized. And little fun fact I found out today: did you know originally he was going to have like a sacrificial death in Empire, but they decided to cut that out because it might have been too dark. And
Lando?
No, Lobot.
Oh, Lobot. No, I didn't.
Like Lobot was going to have like a sacrificial death or something, but then they thought they were going to bring him back in Jedi, so they kept him alive. Of course, that didn't come to fruition, but Lobot. Seriously, Lobot's just such a cool design. The idea he's been lobotomized, hence the little the cybernetic gear he has on his head, and why he's a mute.
I love how every single little background character in this movie, you feel like there could be like a whole movie specifically surrounding them.
It's like Lobot does this one thing, and it's just always so ingrained in the culture. It's this one thing. Lando's the cool thing where he has like the reverse watch little directional things where he like plugs in the coordinates and the instructions, and Lobot comes to the rescue. And then after they save him, he just gives a little hand motion of like directing the other guys like, "Hey, out of here." Here's like the little hand motion. That's all you need that's Lobot's character, and it works. And you never forget the guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyway, plus the toys help too with all the names.
Oh, of course.
All right, let's get to the darker side of the Force.
Oh boy.
Start with the granddaddy.
The Emperor.
Oh well, we could go to the Emperor, sure.
I mean, if you're saying like the granddaddy of evil, I think the Emperor is a pretty apt description of that.
All right. Well, we don't have to spend a lot of time on the Emperor. Emperor here, we get a little taste of the Emperor here. We'll get more on him when we get to the Force ghost of the past, I suppose. But The Emperor's a great idea to kind of seat him in here as like Darth Vader's boss and not Tarkin, his real boss. Oh, he's in trouble.
The fascinating thing about the Emperor in this movie is just how timid it makes Darth Vader.
Yeah, like Darth Vader's kneeling to this guy. Like,
oh
man.
My God, like just the subtle change in Vader's demeanor, at least in the vocal performance by James Earl Jones, is just fucking beautiful. How James Earl Jones is a lot more quiet and soft-spoken in this movie. You noticed that, right?
I did, and you also, and just so you know, in the comics, they're playing with that idea so well, like the relationship between him and the Emperor. It's just that, like, the Darth Vader comics are so great, just like all the subtleties of Darth Vader are expressed in that thing. Like after his failure with A New Hope, he's just like on thin ice with the Emperor, who knows, like, you're trying to usurp my power, aren't you? Well, you keep trying. It's so cool, it really is.
Right.
Okay, we get a taste of the Emperor, which is good. We'll get into the specifics of the Emperor's appearance later on. Boba Fett.
He has like fucking 3 lines in the entire thing, and
what if he doesn't survive? And put Captain Solo in the
right.
That's all he says, but still.
Boba Fett is like the most toy-genic creation in all of Hollywood history, and he's fucking amazing for that.
Boba Fett is just a testament to great production design. I mean, not production, just great character design.
Absolutely.
He's just a testament. Again, he does very little, but just looking, this guy is one of the most brilliantly designed characters in all of Star Wars. Just everything about him. Of course, there's a lot of thought that went into his design too, of like explaining some of the elements of the costuming. He has like the Wookiee braids on his armor, like killing Wookiees.
He almost kind of struck me as like it almost kind of reminded me of camouflage or something, like the greens and the browns.
Yeah. And it's like he has just like surprise blasters, and he's always just kind of there looking timid. You can't see how he's emoting within that helmet. The awesome T-shaped helmet. The idea that he might be able to like kind of detect blasters with a little thing on his helmet. It's just so many cool design elements. Like, believe me, I held off on buying Star Wars things for my life because I knew if I fell down that rabbit hole, I would just.
Right.
I'm saying you can only get into so much. You always have to, I own very little Star Wars merchandise aside from the movies. As a smart kind of financial thing, because you can only
I hear you.
You have to own everything. Believe me, as much as I've been tempted to buy Boba Fett, I have not caved in on Boba Fett because I knew I would buy like 80,000 Boba Fetts.
Oh God.
I don't trust myself if I bought one Boba Fett. Like, the closest.
It's like the drug addict thing. It's like once you have one hit, you're set.
The closest thing I've ever gotten to like extensive Star Wars merchandise is the McDonald's when the Clone Wars animated movie came out. They had this really neat thing of all the spaceships with like little bobbleheads of the characters of all the different ships built on it. I have Boba Fett's Slave One with his head on it, piloting it.
When Revenge of the Sith came out, Burger King did this thing where they had like 50 different Star Wars characters in sort of bobblehead form. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, me and my mom collected like 47 out of the 50.
That's so cool.
All right. Anyways,
but Boba Fett is just cool. He's got this awesome ship. And of course, one of the biggest things he did was the whole camouflage within the garbage.
Right.
That's like
got a real camouflage.
It's like he has really like he really has like 3 moments to kind of define his character. It's the camouflage moment. It's 4 technically, but mainly camoufage. He's just kind of there right beside Vader's these 2 imposing looking guys. He's at the ready to kind of take some names, and of course he's asking like, what if he doesn't survive? He's just like he's still valuable to me, just implying all this history he has trailing Han Solo.
Sure.
Just so cool. Just makes you want to know more about the guy, and of course led to copious amounts of fan speculation and definition for his character.
I think this guy is like the poster child for fan fiction in the Star Wars universe.
He is, and that's the comic I want to see. That's the one comic they haven't got around with all the new lines of Star Wars. Like he has a good role in the Darth Vader comic right now, and in the Star Wars line. But I just want him. That's the one spin-off comic we need right now. We need the Boba Fett spin-off comic that's now officially.
The funny thing about Boba Fett, though, I did mention, of course, the holiday special, but he actually has a really interesting arc in the holiday special.
Yes, it's the idea that he's playing it so well that he kind of befriends Luke on the surface.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it's like Boba Fett just he's a really clever guy.
Okay.
Okay, so also let's just kind of round off some of the again just piggybacking off the Boba Fett idea. Like you have this just character is so visually defined. Like when you think bounty hunter, tell me you don't think Boba Fett instantly.
Of course.
Because I mean, you just think bounty, you just think okay, really cool guy who hunts someone down for money. Okay, and of course when you extend to where that came from, you think okay, well Darth Vader had a lineup of bounty hunters because you're thinking of other characters in the same range of Boba Fett, like they just have this one scene where they're all established and you really don't ever see any of them again though, but just
No, you don't.
but they get this fan following because of the action figures which give you the names, and then of course all the aside from the fan fiction, all the spin-off comics and all the Dark Horse comics, and again still hopefully we're going to see more of in the like we got a taste of a few of these guys in these new Star Wars comics that are officially in continuity.
Well, I think Rogue One is going to be very bounty hunter heavy.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I think we saw one of these guys in the most recent Star Wars issues. But let's just round off the kind of our big guys. Your main four. Like I think there's a fifth guy, but we don't really care about that guy. We're talking about the big four, aside from Boba Fett. So first of all, we got Bosque. Bosque is our lizard guy without the boots on. And the thing with Bosque is, if you ever was people, just so you know what we're talking about here, just like the speculation coming off of just how cool one of these guys looks and all the fun stuff that comes from it. There's a Robot Chicken sketch from the Star Wars special about Bosque the bounty hunter. And that's the one you want to check. They basically give him like a James Bondian weekend of like someone asking, "Hey Bosque, what did you do?" He thinks about it. This James Bond bounty hunter sequence of like going up against the guy and says, "Oh, nothing." Awesome. Just this cool looking lizard guy. You have IG-88, who's kind of a robot-looking guy, who in the movie there was like a little fan, not a little fan, there was a deleted scene where Boba Fett blasted IG-88 just to kind of show these bounty hunters really turn on each other to get the bounty.
I would wager to say IG-88 is probably the second most memorable.
Yes, because IG-88, you'll notice he is in the C-3PO scene where his head's being tossed around, so the idea is his remains are in the trash of the
right, yeah.
But regardless, IG-88 was also a very iconic design, just kind of the cool. Like you always just think, okay, it's the cool robot guy, but IG-88 too, so it's neat. Dengar is the one I believe who's appeared in Star Wars comics recently, just kind of the turban wrapped guy. He's okay. I mean, he's more design over substance of character. I haven't really read him that intently, but he seems just kind of like your average bounty hunter, like as the Robot Chicken Star Wars thing points out, he's just kind of the schmo who's a bounty hunter. Like he just happened upon it. And then we have Zuckuss. Zuckuss is kind of the giant bug-eyed one.
Oh, that guy's cool. Yeah.
And in the Robot Chicken one, they have Conan O'Brien, Andy Richter, Zuckuss, and his buddy.
Oh god.
And Zuckuss actually had a talk show as Conan O'Brien, but as Zuckuss. The point is, Zuckuss is really iconic designs, like memorable designs from this scene. Again, I only have like one scene, and the only big thing from this scene is like, I want him alive. No disintegration. Boba Fett's nodding his head. No, it's just get out of here. And then that's all. That's all.
Like walk-on background characters, and yet they're all super memorable.
Yes. Okay, that's all of our best spin welcomes.
Okay.
Moving on to Hero's Journey.
Hero's Journey. All right. So here we're going to chronicle the characters returning, right?
Yeah, our arcs of our characters this time around. So what their journey has been this time around. So we got Luke this time around. He's a rookie to the rebel cause. It's been 3 years, so he's like firmly. They're all into it by this point. So they're all been helping out for 3 years now. And then again, the comics right now are kind of exploring this 3-year gap between the movies. So he's a rookie to the rebel cause. He's piloting the X-wings like crazy. He's an ace pilot right now, kind of like his father. He likes helping out. He likes helping people. He gets information from Ben after nearly freezing to death with the Tauntaun.
Oh yeah,
which is really again gross way of saving a guy, but still effective. He gets information from Obi-Wan about the next step of his Jedi training. So again, the other big aspect of Luke's out. Again, on one side, he's honoring his father, the idealized memory of his father, about he being a good pilot, helping his fellow guy, and being a Jedi. With the other side here from Ben Kenobi.
So I think Luke's real arc here in this film is like I said, kind of the introduction of the dark side of the Force and the morally gray areas that come along with it.
Yeah.
And so Luke just kind of having to embrace, like, you know, the general philosophy of the Jedi versus this camaraderie that he's maintained with Han and Leia, and the real conflict that comes with that.
Absolutely. Of course, the Jedi's philosophy, too, which adds many dimensions to this movie, rewatching it.
I still don't like the Jedi philosophy that they set up with the prequels. I think
yeah,
it's just,
but I mean,
like, it's gross and freaking... It makes the whole Jedi concept a little bit unlikable, to tell you the truth.
That's the thing. I mean, the way they...
Like, oh, you can't love, you can't feel emotion.
It's like the thing
fuck
is...
you, buddy.
Yeah, the thing with the prequels is that they make it too strict. It's like they don't just have it like as a strongly recommended thing like it should. Like they don't leave it like basically like a strong suggestion rather than like an absolute rule. Like no, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mistake. Just the way they went about it. Like not a bad idea. Just the way it went about it.
It's very cult-like.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's like not showing you the benefits of it. Just showing like, no, it's a rule. We don't do that.
Exactly.
Like it's not showing why that's actually useful. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So you know, Luke in his training, he learns to first of all, he learns not to underestimate his opponent, or not just to underestimate. Period. You know, he trains it. We see him train his agility with all the flipping and stuff with the Yoda puppet in the back.
Of course, we've got that pivotal scene with the tree and the Luke face and the Vader helmet and all that. One of the most memorable pieces of yeah, I'm sorry. I can't talk. One of the most memorable pieces of symbolism in all of film history, I'd say.
Which we'll get to soon. You know, he learns to focus, and with that scene we just mentioned, you know, he learns the threat of the dark side.
You need to focus.
Yep. And also he learns to you know, choose. He faces a choice in his arc here. He chooses to save his friends over completing his training, which of course leads to his downfall.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And he learns. And this is very interesting. Kind of thinking about it, kind of happened upon this. You know, he really learns that the path Ben started him down. Obi-Wan Kenobi started him down with all the kind of him telling him about his father used to be a great man, used to be a Jedi, and which kind of really sparked Luke's interest in kind of becoming a Jedi and just kind of going out, again, as I mentioned, my favorite line of all Star Wars, becoming part of a larger world. He learns that path that he started down was based on a lie. That all he has left is his friends by the end of this movie. He really doesn't know what direction to go in next, which of course we see in Jedi where that direction's leading him to. But right now he doesn't know what to think. After his whole world is changed, like not just by the loss of his hand that traumatized him. It's the knowledge that wait, my father is the bad guy? Like, everything I knew was a lie. I mean, I tried to live up to this idea of, like, you know, we're the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me my father's not only not dead, but he's the big baddie who cut off my own hand? So, I mean, Luke has some really great character arc in this whole movie. Just, like, this place of certainty at the beginning of this movie. Like, hey, we're the good guys. You know, we're fighting the Empire. Everything's kind of simple and good. I'm going to train to be a better Jedi to save the day. And then he's just learning sides. It's not just light and dark. There's some gray in between you're living through, kid.
Definitely.
Very fascinating. I'm sorry, okay. Anything you really wanted to add?
No, you summed it up nicely.
Okay, I guess we should go to Han then?
Yeah, let's kind of bullet point through these if we can.
Sure, there's not a lot with Han. The rest of them are kind of more bullet pointy. Just that Luke was kind of a big meat of it. You know, Han, he's smartly Han is smartly invested in himself to survive. You know, out of with the whole he smartly wants to pay off Jabba the Hutt. You know, says he realizes, well, Jabba's going to send more guys like Greedo after me if I don't pay him, so I'm going to leave this thing. It's been 3 years. Obviously, my debt is piling up and piling up. He wants my head on his wall at this point. So I'm going to leave this now that there's a little calm before the storm. So I'm going to finally invest in myself. No more distractions. I'm going to pay off my debt and be on my way, do other things. But he spent 3 years with these guys. So now he because of he's developed a conscience and friendship at this point. It still keeps him around. So he's just still drawn to these people.
I think a really good kind of piece of thematic symbolism here is the fact that he can't fix the hyperdrive on the Falcon.
Oh, yes.
I love that little running thing in the movie.
Yeah, Han Solo
happens like 3 times.
There's symbolism there, you know, Han Solo's that's his thing. The Millennium Falcon, knowing this ship like the back of his hand, everything working in order, but there's some internal conflict within Han. This character arc here is that he's in a transitional phase where he's not the self-centered guy anymore. He's going to reconcile that he has a conscience. He cares about these guys. He has friendship with Luke that keeps him around because he went out to save him when he could have left.
Right.
Because that's my buddy out there. He's freezing to death. And the other thing, he's falling in love with Leia. And of course, ultimately, what this movie shows is that there is a cost for that friendship, for that life he's building for himself, and of course, he pays the price for it. He is, he's frozen in carbonite. He's literally trapped within a place of in between these two things, these two paths. Much like Luke is in the movie. Luke is, again, he's in the gray of it. Han Solo literally is coated in gray.
Exactly.
Princess Leia.
Well, I think her whole thing is going from a place of kind of becoming this political figure to just a legit sort of freedom fighter.
Yeah, now she's in the more of a leadership role with the rebels.
Right.
She's fallen for Han again. She's going into places where she never thought she'd end up.
She's in total denial mode about Han at the beginning, which is a really fun dynamic, obviously.
Yet at the same time, creepily enough, she still has some feelings for Luke on the side too.
Oh dear.
I mean, she does have some feelings for Luke on the side. Remember?
Yeah, I know. I remember the big old fucking kiss on the lips. Oh god.
Yeah,
just for the sheer purposes to make Han jealous.
Yeah, but still, she still cares an awful lot about Luke, and Han takes notice of that.
I don't care that she cares an awful lot about Luke. That's totally fine. Luke was the guy who rescued her in the first place. It's just the fucking kiss. Oh,
I know. I'm just saying there might be some feelings attached to that kiss. That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna kiss that,
right.
She has some attachment, but when they're on Cloud City, it's she's still thinking about Luke, and Han's realizing, oh, she's still thinking about Luke.
Well, it's interesting because it's I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Lucas knew at this point that Leia was the sister?
I'm really hoping he didn't. Perfectly honestly, the way they're going about this is if this one. I think he just had a general idea of where he wanted.
But at the same time, I think the way that I can explain the ending is that Luke and Leia are connected via the Force, and that's how Leia knows where to go for Luke.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the Force idea of just
yeah.
Everyone's interconnected though, but he might have been hinting that they're related. It's unclear because the way I interpret it was that with the whole production thing is that. He just kind of generally outlined where he wanted to go with aspects of the story. He probably figured out Luke and Vader being father and son, where that would go specifically. I'm not sure he figured out the Leia stuff because he's banking on the success of this one before he really invests in the third one.
Fair enough.
That's a guess though. I don't know. So you might be on the side with him knowing the thing. Makes it kind of creepy though. Add the kiss though if he knew. Part of me just hopes he didn't know at that time. I think it was kind of going by the seat of his pants of success in some aspects.
And of course, Leia, she gets a couple iconic Star Wars lines. She gets the "I have a bad feeling about this" line, and then she also gets "It's a trap."
Oh yeah. And in this movie, she says it's a trap.
Yeah. When she first sees Luke, she's like, "Luke, no, it's a trap."
Oh right. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just instantly who I think of when I think of.
Well, obviously, but she said it first.
Making sure. No
one ever acknowledges that. That's totally Akbar's line. Akbar just went in and stole that line like the boss that he is.
Okay, and with Leia's arc, it's the instant she kind of accepts the direction her life's taking, then she loses Han. She loses everything.
Right. It's devastating. It really is.
There's that beautiful shot where she's just misses Han, getting him, saving him from Boba Fett. He takes off. It's tragic. So anyway, we got Chewbacca now out there. He befriends Luke fully at this point. In those three years, they become close buddies. Give him a big old Wookiee hug.
Chewbacca's awesome in this movie.
Yeah, he is. He has a lot of awesome moments in this movie. We get to see the mechanical expertise of Chewbacca, which I always loved. Him repairing C-3PO and just the Percy C-3PO is yelling at him.
Again, kind of Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style.
Yep, and again, you feel really bad for Chewie when he loses Han, and of course, you see how.
Oh God, yes! Oh my God!
See in that great moment where he's so pissed off at Lando Calrissian, he was grabbing him, "You, my friends, coated in carbonite because of you."
But I love the little mini arc that he has with Lando, though, that by the end of the movie, they're total allies and they're going off to the rendezvous point together.
Yes, and you raided Han's wardrobe? Why?
God.
And of course, the rationale is it's smuggler gear for some reason. It's smuggler gear.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh yeah, then we got the C-3PO. C-3PO, we see he's genuinely he's like Bond. He's bonded to Luke through his servitude. He's kind of his Alfred at this point.
Like I said, I just think it's a little much when he's just freaking out during the chase scene. I think it's just a little much. It's like if I could nitpick one thing about this movie, it would probably be that.
Well, I mean, look, C-3 was just doing his lot in life, which is to report this, to try to help people, which is report the statistics,
One thing about C-3PO, though, I think his arc in this movie gets really good once they get to Cloud City and he gets fucking disassembled.
Yes. But I'm saying, though, just even at the beginning, you see he has genuine care for Luke at this point. It's not just the master-servant thing. I mean, there's definitely a portion of that in the early master-servant, but still he is, he still kind of cares about Master Luke.
I like how everyone kind of is very protective over 3PO, but almost begrudgingly.
Yeah, it's like, rewind. I showed, like, this year to get someone ready for Force Awakens, I showed a friend of mine Star Wars for the first time, and he loves C-3PO. And again, it's because C-3PO is kind of the Alfred of the Star Wars universe in many ways. He's kind of that endearing. Don't get me wrong, he's not the complex Alfred, but he's still.
I know. I was about to say, I don't think C-3PO is going to be fucking belting out any Burma stories anytime
That's what I'm
soon.
saying. But when C-3PO emotes or he sits down with her, he shares something very human. It brings the house down of like, oh my god, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
When he does that, and you get little moments like that here and there with C-3PO, and he gets a lot more comedy to do at the same time. You got a bit of like Alfred sardonic wit in that sense of sardonic, but more. It's more just comedy once he's disassembled, just like yelling at people, "Oh, fix me!" Like, no, I'm backwards, you idiot. Very, very hilarious. And the thing with the whole annoyance factor of C-3PO is that it's interesting juxtaposition is that we see how he is with Luke, and of course Luke taken out of the equation. We see how C-3PO is in servicing Han. He's just very by the book, just trying to do the things he does with Luke, and Luke's just more accommodating to it. And Han's like, no, not now. I'm in the middle of stuff.
Right.
So I think it's less annoying. I think it's just more the person. That's how he interacts with Han Solo. He's just going by the book, and Han Solo just doesn't have time for by the book. He's just trying to get in the zone. Let's see. And of course, yelling at Chewbacca is always kind of funny.
And like I said, I just think it's very creative that basically the whole second half of this movie, he's literally a pile of scraps.
And it's so hilarious so that, during the big carbonite scene, he can't see. R2, I can't see.
Oh, God. Yeah, just a little bit of levity in there during the very tragic scene.
Yep. All right, let's see. So let's get to the big droid himself, R2-D2.
Okay. Oh, boy.
R2, not much there, just accompanies Luke, and he gets to meet Yoda, and he kind of saves everyone as he usually does with a little turny interface thing in his chest.
I think it's interesting that they had the choice to separate not only Luke from the rest of the group, but to also separate C-3PO and R2-D2 here.
Yeah, how'd that feel, R2? I see. Okay.
Very, very insightful.
Yes. I gotta tell you, this guy's brilliant. He's our best guest star we've ever had. He really is.
Yeah, he probably is. Okay.
Oh, R2, you're so kind. He said something very nice about us, Tiki. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Seriously, we love this guy. We gotta have him on more often. Okay, so a little bit on Lando Calrissian here. As I mentioned, Lando Calrissian is doing the best he can for his people here in this situation, the people of Cloud City. So I get the sense Lando Calrissian is kind of like the unofficial president of this planet in a way. He's kind of the diplomat of the planet.
Right.
Like I guess either this section of planet, because Bespin is kind of the Cloud City. It's always go up in the air, like if the whole planet is just this Cloud City, or if it's just like a major section of Bespin.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, though, Lando Calrissian is kind of the poster child of this planet. Like he's he oversees it. He's got guys. He's got people he looks under. So we can assume he's in a position of importance. Like he's like kind of like the Senator Organa of like the Jimmy Schmidt's character of the prequels in a way.
I think that's a good comparison. Yeah.
You know. Anyway,
obviously a little bit more roguish than him, but
absolutely much more entertaining too. Jimmy Schmidt's had the honor of piloting the really cool George Lucas style American Graffiti car of the Star Wars universe.
That's true. That's true.
Did still not allowed to do. Lando, though, okay, so Lando's arc is he's doing his best for to protect him, and of course he hates the fact he's betraying his friends.
Right. It's like he's put into a position that he really hates being in, and he's just getting by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, but again, there's this really great thing. Like after witnessing Han's encasement, he finds it's like this movement thing. Right after he feels so guilty when he's saying they're going to put you into carbon freeze. He's like, right now he's weighing on him like, yeah, something bad's about to happen. He's like, there's a 50-50 chance of this guy's survival just after he gets frozen. It's the minute he's frozen, I guess the indication that he's alive, but still, he's being handed over to Jabba the Hutt, which you can only assume bad things are going to happen to him. Just after the encasement of his friend, just does truly dawn on him what he's done. It's like, yeah, this guy trusted me. I know this guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know we turn each other on a dime, like kind of like a Yondu Star-Lord thing. Potentially, and the way they kind of talk about it at the beginning there, it sounds a little kind of like a Yondu Star-Lord thing. Like they'll turn each other if they have to. But he finds.
That's exactly why I like Lando, and that's exactly why I like Yondu. Like I said, I just kind of have an attachment to characters like this.
Yeah. But again, I just love this idea. Lando then he kind of finds the courage to rebel against the Empire in a very similar way. He has a very similar arc to Princess Leia, is that he doesn't want to get involved in the Empire versus the rebels. He does not want to get involved. That's why he's doing this. He's appeasing the Empire so he doesn't have to get involved in one side or the other. So he's temporarily on the Empire side.
His whole MO with running Cloud City in the first place is to kind of just be a blip on the radar that the Empire hopefully just passes up. Exactly.
It's like, like a biker gang going through a small town. He's just trying to give him the free stuff, we'll repair the damage afterwards. He's, in an interesting way, it's kind of like a reverse Alderaan situation. He is not interfering in the Empire's business. He's just trying to let him pass on by. But he takes the stance of, okay, well now I'm involved. I've taken part in something terrible and trying to make up for it. He does like a little thing called Slowbot in, and now he's invested himself in the cause, which we definitely see in the next movie. So again, it's very Princess Leia-like.
Just keeps blatantly screwing him over with the deal.
Of course, the Robot Chicken. The Robot Chicken Star Wars. The more I think about it, I think maybe. I don't know, the Robot Chicken Star Wars especially are so brilliant. Part of me wants to say they're better than the Family Guy ones, but I don't know.
I don't know. I think Family Guy Blue Harvest is probably. I don't think the other two quite measured up to Blue Harvest. That's the thing.
Third one was kind of a letdown, but two had a lot of great moments.
Yeah, I still think Blue Harvest was the best.
It is the best. I'm just saying, Empire still has some good ones. Anyway, on to Obi-Wan is just guiding Luke to restore balance to the Force. Really, that's all really Obi-Wan does. Is Force ghost form here. He does.
But we also kind of have a little bit of ambiguity from Obi-Wan in the reveal about Darth Vader, though.
True. But remember, they really have that conversation next movie, though.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying it kind of just sets up like, it's kind of the stark undercurrent of the movie. Like, shit, man. Yes. Even Obi-Wan isn't 100% honest with us. Who the fuck can we believe?
And again, the grand idea here is that Obi-Wan, he's guiding Luke, he's deceiving him in order for a grander cause to restore balance to the Force, which is the ultimate goal here with, a thriving Jedi in the world is the only way to do that, to kind of get the ball rolling, which again, Luke is the glue of the Star Wars universe. He's the one that gets the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Yoda, of course. Yoda, he gauges the kid's reaction to kind of like underestimating him, the stick thing, eating his lunch, all that sort of stuff. And it's just Yoda cleverly trying to gauge this kid's reaction, see if he's ready for the training. He says, I don't think this kid's ready for the training. He's too old to begin the training. Which, of course, the prequels
at this point, it's understandable. It's not really that understandable of Jake Lloyd.
Yeah. Prequels kind of completely mess around with that sort of thing, but
great.
Obi-Wan thinks he's ready in comparison. That's he was kind of sold on it, but he still thinks I'm not sure he's ready. But through the course of the training, he sees there's actually some potential with this kid. And then, of course, you also see there's some wasted potential with this kid too. Is that he's still a slow. He's a learner. He's learning, but he still needs to kind of build. He needs that full investment that he hasn't committed to yet.
Right.
And the wasted potential with Luke here is that he went to the emotion over. He's letting emotion deviate him from his goal.
Which in the end is just going to complicate things even further.
Absolutely. Speaking of complications, let's get to Darth Vader.
Oh boy, oh boy. So as we said, it's like I was very struck when I rewatched this film today, just how soft-spoken James Earl Jones is in his vocal delivery here.
Vader's this is kind of like closing out the character stuff with Vader here, but again, kind of in a weird kind of good sandwich we got here. Luke and Vader have the most substance within their arcs here.
Totally.
Vader here, he's trying to make up for his failure in the Empire's eyes with the whole Death Star mishap.
Mm-hmm.
So he's so you see in this movie, Vader is more determined than ever. Bear in mind, this is before he finds out about his son. He's like so determined on killing his subordinates just to kind of get results, get him up there. He's killing subordinates left and right, which is a running gag within the movie, which has a payoff as one of my favorite moments of the film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see, like Vader's just trying to get results, trying to redeem himself. It's a story of redemption for Darth Vader. This movie.
And he's just force choking people left and right here. He's just like
just showing that he's not making games. Like he was told by government. It showed you in New Hope. He was told by Tarkin to stop choking the guy. He didn't kill that guy, but now he's choking them until they die here.
I love the moment when he frickin' force chokes the guy through the hologram,
which is great.
Oh my god, that's probably one of the most intimidating Vader moments in the whole trilogy.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so we see by the end, we see not by the end, we see kind of through the story, when he's talking to the Emperor in that really soft-spoken Vader scene we keep talking about here. It's
right.
Which he's shaken by the news that he has a son, and this motivates him in a way. Is again a really interesting part of this character arc here is that the news that he has a son, that his son survived, and barring all the prequel stuff we need to factor in, he's looking at it for what it is right here. So he finds out he has a son, and this motivates him to find that son before the Empire does. Before the Empire probably might kill him or do other things with the Empire.
Right, exactly.
And it's for two reasons. It's kind of a slew of reasons, but the main one is he wants to convert him to the dark side, convert him to his side, specifically not the Emperor's side, not the Empire side, but the Vader's side, so they can overthrow the Emperor and rule the Empire, because Vader's been fed up taking the Emperor's orders.
And Darth Vader also talks about, he wants to stop the conflict.
Yes, again, so in a way, Darth Vader, in some way, which we're going to see big time in the next movie, he's seeking a way to restore balance, but in a skewed way. So totally, Vader, and again, with Vader's ultimate arc, he is the bridgeway to restoring balance, but this is his diluted version of doing that. Like through darkness, we will restore balance.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Like that is still my purpose in this conflict, to restore balance. But his power is. But again, this is interesting about Vader's thing, though, is that with the whole you and I can rule the galaxy as father and son, is that the power has gone to Vader's head. He's willing. You see in the scene, of course, when he reveals that he's Luke's father, he is willing to delimb his son to see himself within his son, just in some way, just showing you this is my kid, just delimbing him in some way, showing you he's more, as we saw earlier in the movie, Vader is kind of held together, robot and versus man. He's like in that little dome sequence. You see,
which is why I think that Darth Maul should have been the villain for the entire prequel trilogy and have him come back as half a robot.
Yeah.
Seriously, how much cooler would that have been? That would have been such a cool tie-in to Anakin's eventual fate, but I digress.
Let's not get into that bag of worms.
No.
Can of worms.
Can of worms, Tiki, can of worms.
Worms everywhere. No, but seriously, it's like he delimbed, like we see Vader's just so corrupted by power at this point that he just sees that's the way we can do something. We can, two Sith Lords overthrow the Emperor, we take control of this thing, Power's gone to his head in terms of like he's willing to delimit his son, one, to see himself and his son, just saying, I'm putting you in the same position I was in, so I can kind of transition you towards my side here. But secondly, it's in addition to that, it's to put him in a desperate position of acceptance. Like he's willing to, look, don't make me destroy you. I will make you weak so you are desperate. You agree to me just so I don't kill you right now. Just so I'm doing this for your own good. In a way, that's what he's saying with that.
Right.
He's saying, look, I'm going to cut your hand off just to get you to stop instead of like dueling with you and all that stuff because I don't want you to die here, but you got to listen to me if you want to survive this and you want to come out on top with me.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments in the movie is that you see Vader is genuinely hurt. It's a really subtle moment. Vader is genuinely hurt by the rejection of his son. So in a weird way, Darth Vader, again, is a very forceful demonstration of trying to get Luke to come to his side there, but it's a genuine offer. Corrupted by Vader's life experience here, being turned to the dark side. He's just not seeing the human side of things anymore.
Yeah, Vader's got a few moments of quiet contemplation in this movie that just add such a depth to his character.
It's like that's the thing. That's a little bit of Vader's humanity coming out that he's denied to himself. He thinks he's beyond that emotion, kind of like a Jedi in a way.
Definitely.
But he's still really hurt by the rejection there, of like that genuine little sigh moment of like, no, he jumped. Like he would rather die than join me. Of course, he cut his own son's limb off. So how could he not see that coming? But still, just showing that's how diluted.
Father of the Year material there.
Yeah, that's how skewed Vader's view of things are at this point. With power being important.
Right.
Okay, that's really all we got for our hero's journey. I guess now would be the carbon freeze moments.
Carbon freeze moments. Okay.
So right off the bat, seeing the ad, seeing the Imperial walkers was just freaking awesome.
I mean, that's probably like, it's not only one of the most memorable space battles in history. I think it's probably one of the most memorable video game. Like the whole Hoth scene has been reproduced in more Star Wars video games than I've ever seen. It's crazy.
Just flying under the ad is so cool.
Right.
Of course, with the ad, Kevin Smith will attest that was his dream Christmas toy.
Oh my God, the ad is the fucking holy grail of Star Wars toys.
Oh yeah. Of course, as I mentioned many times before, just talking about the trailers for Force Awakens, the X-Wing demonstration is a scene that will always stick in my heart from this scene. Just the John Williams score particularly is the thing I love from this. Just, Lucas giving up on the Force, saying, well, I can't believe this thing. I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to do this. I can't believe it. And, Yoda using the Force and that awesome John Williams score kicks in.
I would wager to say that, I would wager to say that moment is probably this movie's equivalent to the Twin Suns moment.
Yes.
And I'll totally agree. That's probably my favorite moment in the whole thing as well.
Just Yoda lifting the X-Wing from this one. The thing that Luke's been trying to do, it's what he needs to do to kind of save his friends, really. It's kind of that's kind of his proof of merit. And again, importantly, symbolically, Luke isn't able to do that on his own. He has to have it done by someone who's more trained in the Force, something because he's not fully ready yet, because he hasn't earned lifting that thing out of there yet. It shows you that he's doomed for failure.
I love the whole bit about the Millennium Falcon being swallowed by the space worm.
Oh yeah, well, nearly swallowed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but seriously though, I love just him raising that thing out of the swamp. Says, I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Oh God, that is like a fucking drop the microphone line right there.
But again, the ending of that music cue is the moment that's in the trailers. I encourage you folks, like around the 20-second mark, I guess like the 16 to 22-second mark of the second Star Wars Force Awakens trailer. Just like da-da, da-da, da-da. I could listen to that on a loop, and they could just put little 20-second trailer things out for Star Wars. I will take that gladly. For the trailers, just give me that score. It's so triumphant, it's so immersive, that Force theme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Of course, the big sequence we all know, Luke versus Vader.
Of course. That was the first time that we really saw proper lightsaber action.
The proper lights, not just Obi-Wan versus Vader after many years, half robot guy, half robot guy versus old man.
Right.
But this is the first one. It's like super well choreographed, and of course this is probably the best shot sequence in all of Star Wars right now. It's just the atmosphere, the lighting, everything's perfect about it.
Just the sense of scale in the room they're in.
Yep, they're cutting things left and right. Like you get to see like the heat cauterizing stuff and like just kind
Vader using the Force.
They're throwing stuff at each other
Throwing
using the
objects,
Force.
yeah.
So cool. Like Luke, and of course, like the cloud, being in Cloud City, it's like it has like an atmospheric thing. So like when they're throwing out, it's like they're like fighting in an air conditioning vent or something.
Totally.
It's such a beautifully. It's one of the best fight sequences in all of cinema. I'll say that much. It is one of the best fight sequences in all of cinema.
We've touched on it before, but I think Lando's introduction is priceless.
Yeah, it is, and I'll tell you my favorite moment from that introduction. It's.
Can I guess? Is it when Han just gives that gesture of like, "You're talking about me? What'd I do?"
That gesture is my favorite part of this. You no good dirty swindler. Gives around like, me? Just like looks around like the surprised look on his face. Me?
Of course, Han being frozen is one of the big iconic moments, right up there with the lightsaber battle.
And again, that lighting, kind of same lighting. It's actually in the same room, by the way.
It is. That's something I noticed that kind of blew my mind when I rewatched this.
Oh yeah, such a great idea. You know, it's kind of interesting. I wonder if Vader was thinking that if Luke turned him down, he would have frozen him in carbonite just to keep his son.
Oh, I think that was probably part of Vader's plan. Yeah.
I never really thought of that until this moment. Like, wow, that might have...
Of course, everyone knows the story about Harrison Ford ad-libbing the "I know" thing. We don't need to.
Yeah. Of course, probably the best Han Solo moment in this movie would be the no one will. It's like you don't really get it talked about too much, but everyone knows it in their gut. They know it. It's the moment where the dinner reveal, where it's like they're going to say, okay, well, I gotta take you somewhere, and then of course the betrayal of Lando Calrissian betrayal when the doors open, and Darth Vader's just sitting there at the dinner table.
Also, just want to point out for the record, Han totally shoots first.
Absolutely. But just the fact that
he just takes out his blaster and just starts firing away with no hesitation.
Yeah, but I'm serious though. Just the doors open, Vader gets up, and then of course Chewbacca roars, and it's just so ingrained in all of our memories. Then Han pulls out the blaster, and so the coolest interaction. You never see Han Solo versus Darth Vader. Finally, it happens. Han shoots like bang, 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 and Vader just like zoop, takes the gun away from him. And first of all, he takes the blast in his hands, and then he takes the gun away from him. So awesome. But one of the coolest Han Solo moments in all of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
And of course, last thing I have the list here. Again, we mentioned the Luke versus Vader thing, but of course, the great moment was. I'll mention this then. My moment. It's when Luke, upon the realization, Obi-Wan never told you the truth about your father. He told me you killed him. No. I am your father. Boom, 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 boom. No. That's not true. That's impossible. Just the Mark Hamill's one of the. It's like the pre-Joker performance of Mark Hamill.
Absolutely, I was going to say this is kind of like the spark of Mark Hamill's style of acting right here.
Just like the no, go down in history as one of the. It's like forget the no. This is the best.
Oh no, fucking that no! Don't even get me started. That's a can of worms. Don't open that can of worms.
This is the actual awesome no, like the no. I mean, it's just such a great moment. Just the revelation. Again, I didn't do it much justice there, but it's just such a hard moment to replicate. Because remember, everyone misquotes it of like the whole, no, Luke, I am your father. That's the misquote. It's always, no, I am your father.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. And of course, everyone knows the story behind that with David Prowse not knowing.
Oh, yeah.
But here's my moment. Here's the underrated Vader moment. That's it's such an Irvin Kershner touch, and I think it's brilliant. Is that the running gag through the whole movie is that Vader's been killing these guys, killing his subordinates. And there's this one guy towards the end there who screws up when he it's like when they let him go or something. When they let the ship go because Vader allows it or something.
Mm-hmm.
But this moment right after Vader just senses Luke and Luke gets away, and the guy's sweating bullets. This thing, he takes the rat for the other guy, which is really nice, by the way. He's then like he's like sweating bullets as Vader walks by him because he's so expecting to die right there. Like, oh god, Vader's gonna kill me! Like I let the ship get away. Of course, Vader wants that to happen because he still needs to stew on the revelation.
Right.
Seriously, though, just the idea that Vader is still just shaken by the idea my son rejected me. Vader is just so defeated also from that battle. He lets it go.
Yeah, he can't even enjoy a good old-fashioned Force choke. He's just that upset.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful, it's like such humanity on Darth Vader. It's beautiful.
No, I hear
It really
you.
is.
I hear you.
Like Vader, it's like the father being rejected from the son. It's like the saddest Father's Day moment ever.
Oh god. Oh god.
Okay. So Dagobah Vision Cave here. This would be kind of our big kind of Joseph Campbellian symbols and themes of the movie.
Okay, well, I think the Dagobah Cave is actually a good place to start there.
The Vision Cave, which of course the big idea there is that Luke fighting Vader in a really awesome kind of slow-mo strobe effect.
Well, I mean, of course, the big symbolic thing is that Luke could become Vader.
Yes, after he decapitates him.
And there's quite a few bits of mythology here. I do think the Dagobah thing really does fit into mythology in terms of there's always kind of like this trial that a hero has to go through. You know what I mean? This trial that kind of tests him mentally.
Yoda warns him, take whatever you take with you, and that's gonna basically the baggage you take with you. Literally, it's the baggage you take with you, which he takes the lightsaber, which I guess represents his destiny, what he thinks he's destined to be, and that of course being his downfall, which leads to that fight between him and Vader. It's great foreshadowing that you're bound to fight this guy. If you think you're bound to fight this guy, there's a different resolution you need to go about with this guy.
Of course. I think the Millennium Falcon literally being in the belly of the beast is kind of a fun little take on mythicism.
There's the idea, Han Solo's going through a transitional phase, so the hyperdrive's not working.
Right.
There's the Transcendent Hero, which is when the hero he has like has a character flaw, which leads him to fail in this moment that he's going to learn from, which of course is like he leaves before his training's complete, and when he goes up against Vader, he doesn't have the skills he needs, and now he knows what he needs to do. He needs to complete the training.
I think just in general, the whole Han Solo betrayal is almost a little Jesus-esque.
Well, it's very sacrificial, Han Solo.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm just saying in terms of like the whole imagery with the table representing the Last Supper and everything like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and of course, just Han Solo is kind of having this. And with the sacrifice, just the acceptance of his fate, though, is so powerful about that moment too.
Oh yeah,
he knows there's no way out of this. It's like. Yeah, like he knows Chewie will try with all his might to fight him off and save his buddy, but he knows it's going to hurt them, and he doesn't want that. So it's no, I accept this fate.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the idea of good versus evil with the dark side and the light side. Which one's more powerful? That's the big question that's raised by Luke. He asks, is the dark side more powerful? The fact that he asked that question implies that there's some dark side within his lineage.
Totally.
A notion I kind of happened upon with this, and I think we're going to be talking more about this in the next movie, is that. I think technically the dark side is more powerful, but here's the thing. The dark side's more powerful, but it's unfocused, which is what leads to its downfall. Right. The good side is weaker than the dark side, but it's more focused, which means it has a better shot of winning at the end. But again, they're kind of odd. They're kind of on even footing in that regard. They're both not perfect.
Right.
And the gray in between is where that strength really lies, and that's where Luke is right now.
Totally. I think the whole sins of the father thing is a good classic narrative device.
And, factoring the prequels for a moment there, of course, the symbolism of the father becomes the son becomes the father.
Right, totally.
Happiness with the Jedi philosophy, speaking of which, it's the idea of mainly what's promoted in this movie too, but happiness over duty.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of valuing, your happiness and the things you value, which would be your friends, family, the people you care about, over the grand scheme, over duty. I mean, if you go up against this guy, you're most certainly to fail, but you still have a chance of saving your friends. If you want to save the galaxy from the Empire, you want to actually defeat these guys, you got to let them go. We got to, forget about your singular happiness. You got to think about the grand scheme.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, it's a big question. Of course, we can't really it's like that question, if we put our human desires aside, do we cease to be human?
Right.
Which is a question with Darth Vader. Does he cease to be human with all how mechanical he is at this point? And how kind of power obsessed, just like really basic his thinking is right now. And with the introduction of Luke and the idea that he's a father, there's more ideas coming into there, that he is not just, that he's not just black and white, and the Force is in black and white. He's in a gray place too. He's getting there slower than Luke is, but he's in a gray place.
Right.
They actually have a reverse arc when you think about it. Vader starts off completely in the bad side. In this movie, he's gray, and by the end, he's good. Luke is kind of to an extent, in the exact reverse.
Sure.
Starts off good, he's in gray, and he's leaning towards the dark side by the end. He's not in the dark side, he's leaning towards it.
I also think that it's just kind of a classic narrative device to have the villain really, really strongly believe in what he's doing and strongly believe that it's for the greater good.
And whether he likes the Emperor or not, he does believe in this at this point because he sees the results of power, and he sees they've still been winning.
Let's say, I guess the only other mythology-based one I can think of is that Lando and Yoda are both kind of subversions of the rogue and the mentor roles that Obi-Wan and Han Solo took on.
Yep. There's also a little metaphor not a metaphor, there's some symbolism with the, extending a hand, the hand being cut off. It's like the extended hand being cut off.
Totally.
Or like, biting the hand that feeds you. There's a few hand gags there, but
there's a lot of symbolism here. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie.
Again, the weapons you take with you being the thing that disarms you in the end, literally. But mainly
C-3PO literally falling to pieces, literally like just falling apart.
But I mean, really, with the hand being cut off, that's the idea of Darth Vader in the scene is extending a hand to his son, which he would have to remove his hand to extend it to him, like saying, well, you are missing a piece of yourself with that lie that Obi-Wan told you. Come with me, I will help you forge that hand of your true lineage. He cuts off the hand with the blue lights, or with the what Anakin Skywalker used to be.
Right.
Totally. Like, look, no, forget that. That was a lie. That was an idealized lie. Obi-Wan told you that it was a cherished possession of your father. No, he took that from my burning carcass. No, he betrayed me. He lied to you. He betrayed me. The Jedis have told you nothing but lies. I'm telling you the truth. Come with me.
Right.
I will tell you nothing but the truth. And power, you've seen the result of power. I just cut your freaking hand off, showing you the extent of that power. Come with me. Mm-hmm. Be a winner. Some deep stuff. And of course, the last thing to say, which transitions to our next part, would be, it's like any trilogy, in a play structure, in any structure of storytelling, the middle section is kind of the downbeat. It takes us to a dark place by the end, or
the low of those for sure,
or an uncertain note,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Force Ghost of the Past. Not a lot here.
Remind me what this was again. I'm sorry.
Force Ghost of the Past is like the special edition alteration.
Oh, right. This is by far the least offensive special edition change.
Yeah, which is why, sometimes I might opt for the 90s version of this one over the other one. Don't run, you still can't win for the most part with these, but with any edition, again, even the original one, in this case, it's a weird case where you can't, even if you got the original versions, there's still imperfections you would want changed in the original version of this.
Sure.
For example, there's mainly, I've boiled down to 3 main changes. If there are any more, you by all means tell me.
Okay.
Big one, the Emperor. The Emperor is the main change you would actually want with the special edition. Is that the Emperor? They didn't cast the Emperor at this point.
I like the original design of the Emperor, though. I understand why they do it, and it works. But I love the fucking creepy, almost shapeless form that the Emperor takes on.
See, originally. I'm not crazy about it. Plus, one of the original Alfreds did the voice for that one, by the way.
Really? That's great.
Yeah, Clive Revel, the original Alfred before Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. was found. So the one that's in the first 3 episodes of Batman animated series, that's Clive Revel, and that is the Emperor.
Oh, okay.
Mark 1. No, but I just like the Emperor we have usually is placed in there. That one just fits better to me. So that's one of the alterations that works here. It's like, even this movie's so good, even the alterations don't really hurt this movie.
Oh yeah,
with the exception of one, but we'll get to it. Another one, this is kind of this one just like a fan thing, really. It bugs me when it's changed. And unfortunately, the version, I would just love to say I can just take the 90s version and be happy with it, but there's this one change that still bugs me.
Mm-hmm.
The Boba Fett dub.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most offensive out of the changes.
Because really, that's the only change that I can't win with. It's like that. All the other changes I can accept, except this one. This one's like, I love the Jeremy Bullock. Like, what if he doesn't survive?
Right,
But
yeah.
instead they give us the Jango Fett thing because the idea, if I'm right, and remind me, I know you have post traumatic stress about this one, but just seems to remind me. It's the Boba Fett essentially Jango Fett asked for a son, and the way he did that was asking for a clone that wasn't aged to his age already.
I know that Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett. In terms of the age thing, I have I couldn't confirm one way or another. But
that's what
yeah.
I'm saying, though. It's the idea that he's a clone, but he's not aged to be the same as him, like all the other ones are. It's like he wanted a son. That was the closest thing you could do to getting a son without, going through adoption in space.
Uh-huh.
I kind of like I love the idea he managed. So we're not talking about that movie though. Specifically, it bugs me that it takes away Boba Fett's identity a little bit though.
It does.
Because even wouldn't you love the idea that that clone being unencumbered by just being a clone, that not even knowing he's a clone? Wouldn't you think it'd be kind of neat to give that clone his own identity, even if they were going that route?
Well, I mean, I think that's the whole point of Boba Fett's character.
Which making him sound exactly like Jango Fett, a less cool sounding voice. I mean, it's why bother?
Yeah, I hear you.
Give me Jeremy Bulloch or someone sounding a lot like Jeremy Bulloch instead of just kind of this Australian-ish sounding guy.
I think that's one of the most unfortunate things about the changes that are going on.
Yeah.
Or that did take place is the fact that Lucas just tried to tie the originals into the prequels just so much.
Yeah. Okay, last one. This one's the most controversial.
Okay.
So Luke screams on the way down.
And yeah, but they changed this for the 2004 DVD though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, the version I watched, I believe my version was the 90s version, if I'm right.
And the 90s version does have the scream.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it's the version I have. It might be the 90s or the 2000s.
The scream is the original special edition, and then they take it out by the time we get to 2004.
Right. So yeah, here's the thing. Out of all the Star Wars things, I've only limited myself to 3 versions. Mm-hmm. So it's as close as we can physically get to the 70s version. It's again, there's some alterations I guess that are still unavoidable, but basically the DVD version is a 2-disc thing. So it's the 70s and it's the 90s version. So that's only like 1 disc set. So it's 2 discs.
I've heard the quality of the originals is very poor in that particular version.
That's the thing. I didn't watch I watched the 2004 version. That's what I meant when I said 90s earlier on. I guess I meant 2000s because that's a version I like to watch.
Okay.
And again, the only thing unavoidable in that one, basically, it's a perfect version of, with the exception of that Boba Fett dub.
Yeah, totally.
But so basically, the 3 versions: it's 70s, it's the 90s re-release, and it's the 2004, I guess, with the Empire Dreams on that DVD set.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so in the 2004 version, they got rid of the Luke screaming on the way down because the reason that's wrong when you hear Luke screaming on the way down is that he jumps accepting his fate and he shouldn't be screaming. That's what it should be. And as the 2004 version gets right. But unfortunately, the other versions, I mean, I don't know how it screws it up in the first one, but somehow some versions of it have him like screaming on the way, like, this is a bad idea.
Right, it totally just undermines the whole thing.
Absolutely. I mean, otherwise, I mean, just the changes really kind of help the clarity. It does the preservation thing we want with it. It's like cleaning up the footage a little bit, adding a little bit of CG, plus some effects here and there, but nothing major.
Windows.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most effective changes in the whole trilogy, I think, is Cloud City Windows.
Yeah.
Because it opens up the environment so much. Anyways.
Yeah. That's the thing, really, just even this movie's so great, even the alterations are very minor.
Oh, yeah.
Again, with the exception of Luke scream, everything's pretty doable. I mean, I'm not crazy about the Boba Fett thing, but I can take it at the end of the day if I had to pick one imperfection.
Well, I mean, like we said, Boba Fett does only have 3 lines, so it's not like it's a really major part of the movie that's being affected. It sucks. Yeah. It does, but
I mean, I'll take it if I have to choose between all the changes in all of the Star Wars things. But if I can pick one to keep, I'll pick that one.
I mean, we're about to get into, like, Return of the Jedi has some really bad ones.
Return of the Jedi is the most altered.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, A New Hope has the Han shot first thing, but Return of the Jedi, there's just a lot of stuff there. Anyways.
Okay, so I guess now we're on to our final. So just kind of summing it up with, is the Force strong with this movie?
No shit, Sherlock.
Okay, let's a little nicer.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like obviously this is. I don't know. I really enjoyed. I can just return to this movie time after time. It's just such a visual spectacle. It's such a storytelling spectacle. It's as close to a perfect sequel as you could possibly get. This fires on all cylinders on all levels.
It does. It's pretty much a perfect movie.
Right.
It's fantastic. It's got great character dimension, great character depth. I mean, thematically, it holds up greatly. I mean, it's adding more dimension to the characters that have been wonderfully established in A New Hope. But now we know them. We can really dive into the meat of them in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a transitional period. Like it's this great middle section of like where they're going, where the journey's really kind of taking place now. It's like they start on this thing, now it's like the journey affecting their characters.
Totally.
And again, it's like it's a testament to kind of the middle section of the story. Also, like, you know, it's where all the dark stuff ends, where it ends on a downbeat. It's like the Back to the Future too. It's when things don't go so swimmingly. You know, it ends with, again, that's one of the best things the Family Guy thing did when they did theirs, of ending on the Back to the Future ending.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's obvious that the Force is strong with this. This isn't just the best Star Wars movie. This is a staple of cinema.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's that, again, the first one that is going to define those cultural. It's like, last thing I'll say really on is that you kind of with the three movies, it's that what I said earlier is that, you know, the first one is kind of redefining mythology as a whole, just kind of bringing the archetypes back to the forefront, redefining. That was a hugely important thing, and just kind of brought that kind of the space movie in general. Because before that was 2001, that was the big space movie of the time.
But I do think this movie takes cues from 2001, though. It just presents them in a much more kind of like easily digestible blockbuster sort of way.
And speaking of which, so this movie really attests to kind of yet another kind of a thought-provoking blockbuster. In many ways, it's the dark. It's like all the substance, all the meaty stuff is in this one. The dialogue. This one is just the the way I was boiling that. I just forgot my analogy for a moment there. It's first one is just kind of the mythology, it's just the redefinition of mythology. This one is the best Star Wars movie. It's just the great blockbuster of the three.
Oh, totally.
And the next one is just kind of the. I'm just trying to think. I had a better than what I said before about the next one. I don't mean to downplay. I'm just trying to think what I was going to say. It's you know, Jedi is literally, it's the culmination of where they're going. It's like that's the send off piece. You know, that's the end direction. That's like the thought provoking ideas reaching their end.
Jedi definitely has some wonky stuff in it, which we'll get into. But goddamn, is that last 45 minutes or so satisfying?
No, I guess. Well, what I was trying to get at with it was that it's the kind of the it's the moral decisions. It's like the choices being made. You know, it's the big Luke versus Vader ideology battle.
Totally.
It's like it's like I guess that's where like a lot of the substance isn't Jedi in that regard. It's like, you know, it's where the ideas have been presented in Empire, but it comes to a culmination of like you choosing a side in Jedi.
Totally.
Anyway, so again, just Empire. We cannot say enough great things about Empire Strikes Back. Such a fantastic movie.
Oh yeah. And with that in mind, we only have to talk about Return of the Jedi, and then after that, we'll be seeing Force Awakens. So it's here, BlueDragonFive. The Force is upon us. All right. Well, folks, that's all for this episode. It's time to enter carbon freeze, and if we survive the hibernation sickness, we'll be back next episode and return.
No! That's impossible!
No, I tell you, BlueDragonFive, we better fucking survive that the carbon sickness. We better survive the hibernation sickness, because it would suck to die right before Force Awakens. That's all I'm saying. All right, have a good night, yo pirates!